Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first official new hip hop review. So today we're going to be doing the new Boss project. I don't know if you're familiar with Boss, but he's on J. Cole's Dreamville label. And I've been kind of riding with Boss for a little bit. I first heard him on the project, just a label project they did, where the one where Cole dropped Folgers Crystals. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but if you aren't, go look it up. Great songs on there. And the Boss song I knew from there, that I learned from there, was Housewives, which kind of put me onto his project, Too High to Riot. And then he just kind of grew on me. He had a sound that wasn't too far from the mainstream, but he had an interesting cadence. He didn't exactly rhyme how you thought he was going to rhyme. Like everybody, you kind of get the typical rhyme scheme, like bat, cat, mat. You know, people have clever wordplay to kind of cover that up, but at the end of the day, a lot of people do use that. And trust me, there's millions of artists who don't and are innovative in their own way, but in the mainstream, it's a very similar sound. Boss kind of had that sound, but he rhymed differently, which just to me was very interesting because I like the sound, but not the repetition. But that kind of is one of the things I didn't quite like about this project, but we'll get into that later. So we're going to just start it off. This isn't going to be exactly a track-by-track review, more just the sounds of the album, but I will go through tracks that I liked and didn't like in order, the chronological order of their placement on the album. So I have cards, just in case. I'm a rookie in the game, but yeah, so we're going to go through those, and I'm just going to kind of give you the ones I like and the ones I didn't like. There's going to be tracks that just didn't really connect with me, and I'm going to brush on them, obviously, because everything deserves a mention, but I'm going to dive more into tracks that I thought hurt the album and ones that I thought helped it, rather than ones that I felt like were just kind of not for me, but could be enjoyable. So we're going to start off with the interlude. Not the interlude, but the intro to the album. It's called Icarus. It's featuring, I'm not sure who she is, but I think her name's Ariana or Ari or something like that. And she delivers on the song. But mostly what I like about the song is Boss's verse, actually. I mean, the production on the song is good. It kind of builds suspense, gets you ready for the album, ready for the Milky Way journey, is what I thought we were going through here. Maybe not quite, more of a love journey, but yeah, so you kind of build up, the beat builds up, and then it comes in with this nice Boss verse where he gives a couple good lines, and I actually wrote a couple of my favorites down. One was just about how he was changing the New York City sound, and I do like that kind of braggadocious tone from him, because even though he does it a lot, he does brag a lot on this album especially, it's nice on this first track because I haven't heard it in 2 years. So hearing it fresh and new, like I changed the New York City sound, it was refreshing. I actually did like it. And he had a couple other good ones on there. He had a Kellyanne Conway line just about how it was like always lying like Kellyanne Conway or something. And I mean, trust me, politics are not separate from music anymore. We know every rapper's made a song and mentioned Donald Trump. But it's interesting to hear someone mention someone in his cabinet or affiliated with him that isn't him, kind of just in a clever way. Like, it's nothing crazy. It's not going to change the world, but it's fun. If you know who she is, you might enjoy it a little more. And another line, actually probably my favorite line on there, was he was rapping about how he'd kind of seen the whole world, and then he said, like, I'm back in the Matrix, blue pills only. So the blue pill is just the one of ignorance, where they don't really know about the Matrix, and they're just kind of happy with being ignorant because they don't know they're being ignorant, obviously. But I like that because he's sort of, to me, it's sort of like he's seen the whole world and he's gotten rich and he's toured the world. But at the end of the day, it's like he's just back in the Matrix because he goes home. And really, it's just, no matter how rich you get, you can never just get on top of the world. You can never be the number one guy. So it's sort of like there's always a level of ignorance to happiness, unless you are not everybody can just be the Elon Musk, and there's people above him. So really, on every level, it sort of is the blue pill. We can't all be Neo and break the Matrix. Most of us just have to be a side person. Rather, if we're just a broke side person or a rich side person, at the end of the day, that's really how it is just the ignorance to what's really going on. So I did like that line. Maybe I took it for more than what it meant, but I think that's kind of what he was going for. So that's the first song. Just a couple of good lines on that one. It actually had some of the lines I liked more on the album. But it wasn't my favorite track by any means. So don't get that mistaken. Just good bars. And the next song was Front Desk, which this is actually sonically, it's one of my favorite songs. It's just kind of about how, as like a lover, you have to, it's going to be different with Boss because he's rich and he lives and he's doing business, he's traveling the world. So you're going to have to give a different level of dedication and not expect that same thing in terms of him prioritizing his work and his travel. So it was just kind of like, that was a cool perspective because you don't exactly always hear about it. It's more just covered in like misogyny on that topic. So it was interesting to hear him rap about it as more of a, it's not just because I don't value you, but it might just because who I am and how busy I am. And that was awesome. I mean, it was cool. And the bass was really smooth. There was kind of like a little sound in the, like a woo in the background. And it was like a fun sound. It was nice to hear it go with the bass as the bass just kind of rolled over you. But the one thing is that like that little woo did get kind of repetitive. I'm not going to lie about that, like over the course of the song. But there was like breaks and stuff that kind of kept things well paced. So it was pretty good. The beat, that is. And the vibe of the song, actually, it kind of at the beginning had kind of, I don't know why, maybe because I've been listening to Slam Language, which let me know if you want me to review that. I know I'm a little late, but I can if you want. It wasn't, I'm not going to get into that. But it kind of, the beginning of this song kind of had a Young Thug flow, like his tone, but that fell off quickly. Don't get me wrong, the song doesn't sound like Young Thug, but at the beginning it kind of was like that. But it was a good song. I actually seen that Sean C tweeted it out, so it's good to see another reviewer like the song as much as I did. I mean, he might have liked it a little more. It didn't exactly touch my soul, but... And then after Front Desk, we get into the 2 consecutive singles off the album. So Tribe, which is J. Cole, that's the first one, featuring J. Cole, where they just sort of rap about, I guess, 3 things is what kind of what I picked up. It was women, money, and God. And the first 2, they rap about in how they have them and how they like them. Not money, success. We'll go with success. How they have those things, and then they kind of tie it into how God's still writing for them, and these are all favors from him, and that he's looking out. Like J. Cole had a line about how he knows God's looking out for him because this girl's in his 2-seater or something like that. So I think that's interesting, is to kind of rap about the typical rap subjects and then bring God, which is another common rap subject. Shout out to Kanye. Jesus Walks kind of paved the way for that one. But it's kind of interesting to hear them rap about these things like bitches, money, hoes, and then tie it back to, well, God's looking out for me. That's why I have these things. So it was more of an appreciative look on it, I thought. You might disagree, but that's just kind of how I took, is that they were thankful to him at the end of the day for the great things they have. And that song is followed by Boca Raton, which features A$AP Ferg, and it's kind of got like a funky, like dun 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 dun, like that. You know, the chorus, I don't know, but if you've heard it, but it's a really good song. I really like the way it flows. But again, it's kind of about how a woman with him, like, he can't be number 1, but he can play the 2 or the 3 now. Like, he can't commit. Like, he lives a life of fame and success, even if he's not an A-list celebrity. He's a little lower than that. He's not huge, but he is on his 3rd studio album, and he is on J. Cole's label, and he's worked with great artists. So, at the end of the day, he can't commit. And A$AP Ferg, he can't either. He just got off the phone with J. Cole. He told him he's with the guys, so he's busy, you know? That's how they live, and you have to understand that if you're going to be their partner. But this one does have a more funky, like, maybe not Jamaican, but tropical vibe. I mean, it's called Boca Raton for a reason, I assume. So, that's actually one of the songs I liked more, even though it came out, like, a while back, a couple months ago, I think. It just sounded good. And the next song, which is, it's about, it's about his neighbors being racist. It's called, I'm going to call it Barack because it's easier that way. You'll obviously know which one it is on the album. But it's sort of about how he had to move from racist neighbors, and then, which is like kind of a tight-knit example of racism, just specifically my next door neighbors were racist, so I moved. And then it kind of just expands into a more societal references about racism. And I did enjoy it. I mean, I thought the beat was kind of choppy, like the bass was kind of choppy. But Boss flows really well on the song. And that's kind of what mattered to me, is just hearing him talk about something I wanted to hear him talk about, more like societal issues rather than just love. And he had a good flow. The beat wasn't exactly life-changing, but I did enjoy the beat. and he had a good flow over it. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what matters to me personally. And then the next song, I think it might have been what I would consider personally my favorite song. It's called Purge. It's kind of just about some like typical things. He just kind of talks about how he slept on, he has connections, how you connect to him through the music, how the music is meant for you, how the words are just an escape for us to understand his mind. And then he raps a little bit about traveling the world and just some more Boss things. Those are, you kind of get accustomed to what Boss raps about throughout the project, because it's similar to what he's rapped about throughout his career on his two other albums, the studio albums. So, but I love the way the song sounds. The vocal, there's a vocal chant in the background. I don't know if it's a sample or something, but it's about an audience, is what he's saying, and it sounds great in my opinion. I love the way it sounds and what it adds to the track overall, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just very interesting to me, and I love the sound of it. And then at the end, I couldn't quite figure out what the sound was. It sounded either like a money counter or like a film, like movie film, and then it kind of clicked, and there also sounded like there was a clock ticking. And I love the way it kind of just ended the song. I don't know, you have to listen to it for yourself. Try to have it pick your ear. I'm like half deaf, so no fucking clue what's going on. But you might be able to figure out exactly what those sounds are. And if you do, drop it in the comments below. I would love to hear it. But I love the way that the sounds sounded to close out the song, because it was just a very spacey, like calm, soothing song. And then it just kind of ended. It made me feel like I just watched a movie, a good, calm movie, you know, like a movie you might just watch while you're hanging out. Just where they're walking around a beach. I don't know. There's not many movies that are like that, but it created that sort of vibe for me. And it was followed by Fragrance, which was about Boss trying to lose a girl. And I'm not going to say much about this song because the delivery, it was kind of like, meh. And the beat, then the chorus, it was repetitive. The hook was repetitive. It seemed like it was good for a car ride, but I don't know, it would just get old to me, so I'm just gonna, I don't want to sit here and rip apart this man's problems with not being able to get women off of him, but maybe it was, I don't know, in some ways I can relate to what he was saying, is get off my nuts, like, go, bitch, get out of here. But it wasn't just, I don't know, it wasn't a song I connected with, even though I could create a couple personal connections. I wouldn't want to listen to it and, like, spread the message of that song, so it didn't really intrigue me, and it didn't sound too great. And then you get Infinity and Infinity Plus 2, which, if I'm not mistaken, Infinity is a clip, like a sample from White Men Can't Jump with Woody Harrelson talking. And then Infinity Plus 2 is just a spin-off of the line where he says, I love you, Infinity Plus 2. And I don't know, he like kind of flows nice. And the song sounds good, but it's not an unheard of song. It's nothing crazy. And it doesn't really show anything new. So it didn't really intrigue me in that matter. It's just kind of like a decent lyrical love song. And that's about really all there was to it. And that song is followed by, I can't even fucking read what I wrote. But it's, I don't know. Sanuta? I don't know. It's, I'll tell you why it's written like this, is because it was another song that I just kind of found not that interesting. It kind of had a funky tropical, kind of like Boca Raton, makes you like want to move, and it actually kind of sounded like it was a similar beat to Boca Raton. Maybe it was just the vibe itself that it created made it sound similar, and it might not actually sound similar. But when I heard it, I instantly thought of Boca Raton, and it just has a really, really repetitive, you know better hook. Like, that's what the hook says. And that, it just got old really fast. And I know it's fucking improper video etiquette to not have written it properly, but I really was just focused on not listening to that song again. So that one's followed by PDA, which is, I don't know, it's another song that, it was just kind of a chill, like, peaceful, slowed down song. And I liked it. I mean, it kind of slowed things down. It keeps the lovey relationship aspect of the album going, which wasn't something I was particularly interested in from Boss, which kind of just hurt my interest in the album overall. But I mean, it had some good lines, and he talked about some interesting things. So I don't know, I don't want to rip it apart too much, you know. I don't want to be that guy who shits on someone else's art rather than point out the parts of it that I like and the parts I think you should check out. And I do think you should listen to the whole album, but I'm giving you sort of my references to how to listen to it, if you can understand what I'm saying. And then the next song is Designer, which he just kind of has some interesting wordplay on designer, how it can mean so many things. The rapper, the drugs, the clothing, design her, design, I don't know. He does that a lot. And the beat isn't, I mean, it's kind of funky, but I don't know. It doesn't really, it has like kind of a clap, like head bop vibe, but it just doesn't really blow me out of the water. And then it closes out with Rockets. Genius actually has it listed as Spaceships plus Rockets, but on the Spotify album, it's just Rockets. Apparently, according to Genius, it's a song that came out a while ago with him and someone else. But I do like the song. The way it kind of just starts out, like the beat builds up and then Boss just raps. And he kind of has some like very interesting bars. His flow is actually really good. And it's kind of a good way for him to outro it. But what built up to the outro kind of let me down in the fact that he could have, I feel like Boss could have rapped more and said more, but he chose to kind of take a more, I think, relationship related route. Maybe there is more metaphors layered into these songs and they're not all about women, but on surface level to the average listener, they will sound like they are about women. And that just kind of took away some of my interest in the album. But this last outro, I didn't really like the end parts, the guests at the end, the features, but I liked Boss's like enthusiastic, energetic bop flow. And I mean, it was a good outro from his perspective. Maybe not the features, like I said, but him, good stuff. So overall, maybe you picked up on this. Sonically, I like the album. Lyrically, there were some bright moments. The first track, the track with Cole. I mean, Boca Raton even had good flows, and the outro had some good flows. And then scattered throughout it are pieces of good lyrical performance, some sort of acrobatics where he flows in ways that you wouldn't expect, that you enjoy. But a lot of it was just very lovey for me, and I wasn't looking for that from him. It was called Milky Way. Kind of the same thing I got with Astroworld. I was expecting it to be more spacey. I'm waiting for a great space concept album because Tits or The Incredible True Story didn't quite cut it for me. So I need some of this. And that was like 3 years ago that shit came out. So I was waiting for this. But I'm not going to give it a number score. I'm not going to do number scores. They're too pigeonholed. You know, everyone has different perspectives. But I did enjoy it. And I will probably listen to it a little more. There's a couple songs in there that'll probably grow on me. It kind of felt like it has to grow on me a little bit. But it wasn't what I was expecting, and maybe that's why I'm a little bitter towards it. So I'll probably do a final thoughts video on it within a week. And let me know what else you guys want me to review in the comments. Thank you for watching. Have a great night.